Joining us now is the Director of Law Enforcement Training, Keith Hanson. Keith, our coverage certainly continues here. It's been another big morning. What do you make of it? Was there a security lapse? Just give us your understanding of the situation.
Well, I mean, first of all, was there a security lapse? Absolutely. You've got a threat with a firearm getting within a proximity to President Trump that a moderately skilled marksman would be able to take that shot 400 yards. I mean, we're in New Hampshire right now. We have 400, 500, 600-yard ranges all over the place. That's not a difficult shot to make. Given the fact that just a couple of weeks ago, we had a gunman who was able to get within 150 yards of the president on a rooftop and be able to take multiple shots at the president, killing a bystander and grazing President Trump. This is the second massive failure of the Secret Service. There needs to be a full audit. There needs to be an overhaul. There needs to be an examination of not only the training protocols, but there also needs to be an examination, a thorough examination of just how many of these people are there, not because of their skill set and their mindset, but because they're DEI hires, courtesy of directors like Kimberly Cheatham. Yeah,
look, law enforcement training. So that's an interesting point that you just raised then. So doing the calculations here in Australia, that's about 300 metres at the lower end in terms of taking a shot with a scope. How difficult is that shot, Keith?
I mean, it's not difficult at all. I mean, here in the United States, we have intermediate and long-range shooting clubs at virtually every gun range. We're 300, 400, 500 yards. That's a routine shot for many people. That's deer hunting for a lot of people. So that's not a difficult shot to take at all. And to have a person, I mean, we're talking about a person with a firearm, but let's just talk about a person who is not cleared or authorized to be within that perimeter. That alone, if they caught him there hiding in the bushes and he had no weapons or GoPros or backpacks or any even malevolent intent, to have a person just out of curiosity factor trying to see how close that they could get to President Trump, that alone would be a major security breach. And now we have not one, but two involving powerful firearms within weeks of each other. That's not acceptable.
How political is this in an election campaign? I know there's going to be blame everywhere. You mentioned more needs to be done at the top of the Secret Service, but do the Democrats across the board need to be doing here? Does the president need to be doing more? Does the vice president and current Democrat nominee need to be doing more for the rest of the campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to speak very frankly here, because this is the direct result of years of the progressive left Democrats calling President Trump Hitler, saying that he's evil, that he's a racist, that that he needs to be eradicated, that he's a scourge. And this becomes fuel. This becomes motivation for people who are mentally defective. They take this as their battle cry, and they say, I'm going to go out and I'm going to solve the world's problems. Here is this blight, this cancer on society. I'm going to take something, a firearm, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to solve this problem. And that within hours of the attempted assassination of President Trump in Butler Township, Pennsylvania, you've got Democrats that are doubling down on the rhetoric. This rhetoric is directly responsible for this type of chaos, directly responsible.
I mean, you've had 2 attempts now in 2 months. What do you make of the state of affairs now in America? I mean, you got to assume that, I mean, you don't want to inflame things, but there's got to be the possibility there could be other attempts now if there's been 2 in 2 months, and the authorities need to do more to push back against this.
Well, the Secret Service should be treating every single rally, every single gathering, every single event as this is the event. This is when everything is going to happen. This is the moment that we've trained for. It's called game intelligence. You game it out, you have scenarios that are played out, you have responses to those scenarios, and you are prepared for every single contingency. And that's a tough job because you have to be prepared for every single contingency, and you have to get every possible contingency right. The bad guy only has to get it right once.
No, that's very true. Hey, Keith, should Donald Trump, I mean, should he be wearing vests wherever he goes now?
I would imagine that he is. I mean, that certainly is the rumor from deep within his campaign that he is. Whether or not they're going to say that, I think it would be irresponsible for somebody within his campaign to acknowledge that. Absolutely, there should be vests. But
Yeah.
here's the thing: he has a security detail that is responsible for utilizing force multipliers. Those would be local police departments, sheriff's departments on a county level, state police, Bureau of Criminal Investigations for the respective states that he happens to be visiting, and also additional resources within the federal government. After the first failed attempt in August, his threat level necessarily skyrockets. Clearly, this is an individual who is going to be targeted for violence. It's necessary to reassess the types of protective services that we're providing him and be able to enhance and bolster those. It doesn't seem like that's being done. And certainly, I think that's a logical argument, given the fact that here we are several weeks later and attempt number 2.
Yeah.
And again, thank God. And again, listen, we don't want, it doesn't matter what side of the political aisle that somebody happens to be on. We don't want to see political opponents shedding blood from the other party.
No.
But when the rhetoric, and I have to go back to the rhetoric that is being perpetrated on a daily basis by multiple players within the Democrat Party of this country, when they continue to propagate the rhetoric that they do, this becomes more likely, and now at this point, an inevitability.
Yeah. Okay. Keith, thanks for your time this morning. What a morning.